Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to another video folks. Today we are predicting the Premier League week 3 predictions before the international break. Some big games coming up including the big one. We're all looking forward to see Liverpool versus Arsenal. This could be the game of the weekend. Before we get into the YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button. We are 50 subscribers already, so let's just smash it and keep adding videos. So first up, West London derby between Chelsea and Fulham. Both Chelsea and Fulham are both unbeaten so far ahead of Saturday's West London derby at Stamford Bridge, but Chelsea found their groove last weekend as they hit struggling West Ham for 5, with Joel Pedro in particular standing out with a goal or 2 assists, with youngster Avesto also impressive in a 5-1 win in what was his first Premier League start. But the Brazilian was late addition to the starting lineup after Cole Palmer pulled up injured in the warm-up. As for Fulham, last weekend saw Fulham once again fight back from a goal down to earn a point in the Premier League with substitute Emile Smith-Rowe equalising for the Cottagers midway through the second half on their contest with Man United at Craven Cottage. Marco Silva's side followed with that 1-1 draw with a 2-0 triumph over Bristol City in the EFL Cup on Wednesday, with Raul Jimenez doubling Fulham's lead, and with an early own goal had put them ahead. Chelsea put in an excellent display in their thrashing of West Ham last weekend, and it's fair to say they were certainly helped by the shortcomings of their opposition. But Fulham should pride much sterner opposition, but not less, because this West London derby is often decided by fine margins. Indeed, there has been a margin of victory greater than 2 goals in just one of their last 31 competitive meetings. These are the two sides. Both sets of players will be well up for this one. While the edge does go to the hosts at Stamford Bridge, it is unlikely to be a high scoring game. I'm going for Chelsea 3, Fulham 1. Right, second match. Right, let's go to Old Trafford, where Man United versus Burnley. Hoping to distance themselves from their humiliating EFL Cup exit, Man United face another potential stumbling block in the form of Scott Parker's Burnley. Man United appear to be an all-time low right now, with Ruben Amorim facing the serious scrutiny off the back of a hugely underwhelming start to the season. Despite significant investment in the squad over the summer, the Red Devils have taken just a point of their opening 2 Premier League games and suffered an EFL embarrassment midweek when they were eliminated by League 2 side Grimsby. And as for Burnley's first home game since return to the Premier League was the triumphed one with Josh Cullen and Jadon Anthony both on target in a 2-0 victory over fellow promoted side Sunderland last weekend. The Clarets then edged out Derby in the EFL Cup on Tuesday. Oliver Song scoring an injury time winner after the Rams midfielder Bobby Clark had cancelled out Aaron Ramsey's opener. Despite apparently receiving the backing from the powers can be, there is talk that Amorim is in serious trouble should he fail to inspire his side to victory here, refusing to deviate from their decisive 3-4-2-1 system. It is clear that many of the personnel are still not comfortable with the setup, but the time is surely running out of his methods to bed in. Boasting a watertight defence in the Championship last season for Burnley will release the opportunity to stalwarts such as illustrious opponents, but when they succeed over 90 minutes remains to be seen, despite Man United's collective shortcomings. But there were undoubted the talent in their squad capable of making match-winning combinations. with a massive amount of pressure coming at them from the Old Trafford faithful though. The hosts will settle for an ugly win right now, but I can see United's just having enough to beat Burnley 2-0. Right, let's move on to North London, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Tottenham boasted a 100% record in the Premier League at this early stage of the season, and they put that to be tested against a dangerous Bournemouth side on Saturday. So it's been something of a dream start in the Premier League for Thomas Frank in the Spurs hot seat with his new side following their opening weekend victory over Burnley with an excellent 2-0 win against Man City at the Etihad, but the second season in succession that they have beaten Pep Guardiola's side in Manchester. Brennan Johnson and Joe Palillo were on target against City, with the visitors riding their luck at times, but ultimately keeping the second straight clean sheet. As for Bournemouth, another side who have started the league campaign in a positive fashion, Bournemouth claimed their first win of the season by defeating Wolves at the Vitality Stadium last Saturday with Marcus Tavernier's early goal enough to separate the sides. Cherries were eliminated from the EFL Cup on Tuesday though, with the Premier League rivals Burnley Premier League rivals Brentford scoring in each of half of the process, but Julian Alaroje received his marching orders in the injury time for Bournemouth. So it's been a confident start to the season for Tottenham, who have so far looked like a much more solid unit than they were under Ange Postecoglou. Bournemouth though poses some genuine attacking talent in the likes of Anton Semenyo and Everson and Justin Kervenet. So impressive last season, edging back to full fitness, but they are capable of troubling the host rear guard on the back four. But this has all the makings of an entertaining encounter between two exciting teams, so over 2.5 goals is certainly worth a look, but I'm going for 2-1 to Spurs. 2-1 Spursy should be the bet for that one. Right then, Wolves versus Everton. Both Wolves and Everton record EFL Cup victories midweek, with two sets to square off at Molineux on Saturday. Wolves fell to a second straight Premier League defeat last Saturday as Marcus Tavernier's early strike was enough to earn Bournemouth a 1-0 victory at the Vitality Stadium. In that match saw Toito Gomez receive a red card not so long after half time. So Vitesse Piore's side bounced back in the EFL Cup on Tuesday though, as Jordan Strand-Lawson's late double earned the Midlands side a 3-2 victory over the fellow strugglers West Ham. And Everton enjoyed a turbulent first competitive game at the Hill Dixon Stadium as they ran out a 2-0 winners against Brighton. Goals from Amael Demo and James Garner. The Toffees repeated that scoreline on Wednesday with the second half strikers from Carlos Colliero, Carvarez and Bento handing David Moyes' side's victory over League One outfit Mansfield Town in the second round of the EFL Cup, again on home turf. Right. Despite the fact they have lost both Premier League games so far, Wolves certainly haven't disgraced it themselves, but they would have easily got going from their clash with Bournemouth last weekend, despite playing with the majority of the second half with 10 men. Everton, meanwhile, have enjoyed back-to-back wins in their impressive new stadium, but their only away outing so far this season was a 1-0 defeat to Leeds, which they offered very little in attack. But although it's still very early in the season, Wolves need to be taking points from the games like this. But they'll be desperate to get off the mark. But Everton are reserved at the back, and but that could result in a fairly uneventful match. But as the hosts struggle to break them down, a low scoring is expected at Molineux. I'm going Wolves 1, Everton 2. But I'm going for an Everton away win. Right, Sunderland and Brentford sitting on 3 points apiece after 2 games and after contrasting EFL Cup experiences midweek. Two sides fresh off at the Stadium of Light. After a superb opening weekend victory over West Ham, Sunderland were brought back to the earth, a little with a 2-0 at the hands of fellow promoted outfit Burnley at Turf Moor last Saturday. The Black Cats were in action in the EFL Cup on Tuesday, but they were eliminated on the penalties by League One high flyers Huddersfield. On one positive, loan signing of Mark Guillaume scored his first goal for the club when his 84th minute header levelled the scores at 1-1. As for Brentford, the season began in worrying fashion for Brentford when they were easily swatted aside by Nottingham Forest. They have responded well since then, defeating Aston Villa 1-0 in the Premier League last weekend before seeing off 10-men Bournemouth in the EFL Cup on Tuesday. With the absence of once-away striker Yohan Wissa and high goal Thiago has stepped up with 2 goals so far, and with new signing Dango struck the winner on his debut against Villa. Right. Having lost Christian Nordegaard and Brian Mbeumo to the Premier League rivals in the summer, and Wissa looking likely to follow suit, but there is no doubt that Brentford are a weaker side under Keith Andrews. However, the signing of Otarasa has revocated them, having won back-to-back games in League and the Cup, but they are certainly not without the confidence under the new manager. Sunderland were excellent at the Stadium of Light on the opening weekend, but their ability to pick up points on home turf will likely be crucial when it comes to their chances of staying in the Premier League. But the hosts will set up a frustrating bees where the visitors could sneak this. But I'm going for evenly match and say 1-1 draw. Say 1-1 draw. Right, Leeds United will face Newcastle. Newcastle will look to channel the frustration as they felt from their last gasp defeat to my team Liverpool on Monday when they travelled to Allen Road. Leeds were given a stern lesson last weekend with likely Premier League challengers Arsenal swatting them aside with a convincing 5-0 victory. That highlighted the gulf in class between the two sides. There was more disappointment for Daniel Farke's men against Sheffield Wednesday in the EFL Cup on Tuesday, after Jayden Bogle's 81st minute goal ensured at the normal time in headed 1-1 at Hillsborough, and the visitors missed all three penalties in the resulting shootout to bow out in the competition. And Newcastle is a hugely dramatic contest with Liverpool at St James's Park on Monday. Newcastle were left heartbroken after the visitors struck a late winner through 16-year-old Rio Nogueira in the 100th minute. The 3-2 defeat was not without the positives though, but as the Magpies were largely the better team and fought back superbly from 2 goals down, despite the fact Anthony Gordon was sent off in the first half injury time, but Anthony Gordon is suspended now. Nasty red card, but Newcastle still be smarting from Monday's bitter defeat to Liverpool, and Eddie Howe will be eager, his players, to use that as a few to bounce back against promoted side here. Leeds' defensively vulnerabilities were exposed against Arsenal, although Newcastle will be without suspended Anthony Gordon and seamlessly outgunned Alexander Isak. William Salisu, who scored off from the bench last weekend, will be keen to make the most of his opportunity, but given that the Magpies are in the process of replacing their striker options in the transfer market, Alonso took his goal well last week. We think he offers good value in any time scorer market. I'm going for Leeds 1, Newcastle 2. Right, Nottingham Forest against West Ham. Struggling West Ham face unbeaten Nottingham Forest at the City Ground with the Hammers boss Graham Potter under greasing pressure to turn things round, despite an uncertainty regarding Nuno Espirito Santo's future as the manager of the club. Nottingham Forest have nevertheless made a positive start to their Premier League campaign following their opening weekend victory over Brentford. and with a hard-fought 1-1 draw against Crystal Palace at the inventive Selhurst Park last time out. The Foxes' boss, Public, falling out over the Eagles' Marquez continues to dominate the headlines, though. This is still unclear how this will be resolved. Graham Potter is under severe pressure already with his West Ham side, having capitulated against Chelsea last weekend before being eliminated for the EFL Cup by Wolves midweek. The Hammers have conceded 11 goals in 3 games in all competitions in current campaign. Frustrations boiled over on Monday with the club captain. Jared Bowen clashes with unhappy fans. There are problems at both clubs right now, but Forest are at least not letting off the field. The matters influencing their performances, despite the fact Espirito Santo's job appears to be on jeopardy. He clearly still has the support of dressing room. It's difficult to say that the same thing about West Ham and Graham Potter, though. There's this very real chance that this could be his final game in charge of the Hammers should they fail to be any improvement. Moyle is alone in the West Ham camp right now, but they'll be looking there for the taking. But Nottingham Forest for the win 2-0. I can see only one result, and that's Nottingham Forest. Right, Brighton versus Man City. Keen to bounce from their home defeat to Tottenham. Pep Guardiola takes his Man City side to the South Coast, taking on Brighton on Sunday. Brighton came short in Everton's first Premier League game at the Hill Dixon Stadium last weekend, losing 2-0 to the Toffees, who scored at either half. But the Seagulls restored some confidence on Wednesday, though, taking out Oxford United apart in a 6-0 victory at the Castle Stadium. 19-year-old striker Sanso Tillers was particularly plus point with the summer signing, scoring twice on the debut. And Man City lost at home to Tottenham last weekend. The second season in a row they have suffered that faints, but in a match that saw them spurn plenty of opportunities to drench the Tottenham rear guard. And with the likes of Liverpool and Arsenal both sitting on maximum points from their first 2 games, Pep Guardiola knows his side will be caught adrift should they suffer any more slip-ups in the early stages of the season. I know it's too early, it should be bouncing back. But Guardiola will see it as the vital to bounce back in this fixture so that his side can go into international break of the season on a positive note. The fact that Rodri is edging back to full fitness is a huge boost, though. They have to be as favourites against Brighton's side, who are still searching for their first Premier League victory of the season. But the predominant battle is likely to be in midfield, where Carlos Cabella's role for the host is set to an integral one. But should City manage to win that particular battle, but you should be leaving at the Amex with 3 points. I'm going for Brighton 1, Man City 3. And this is the big one. It's the heavyweight clash on Sunday as Liverpool and Arsenal, 2 of the favourites for the Premier League title, lock horns at Anfield. The new star emerged on Monday as Rio Nogueira, who has since turned 17, just celebrating his 17th birthday, became Liverpool's youngest ever goal scorer when they scored superbly Wirt's last gasp in winner in the Reds' dramatic 3-2 over Newcastle. 3-2 victory over Newcastle, but Arne Slot's men can count themselves somewhat fortunate to have taken 3 points, though, as they were clearly second best against a Magpie side who had played with 10 men for entirely of the second half. As for Arsenal, underlined their status as one of the top title contenders with a commanding 5-0 win over promoted side Leeds last weekend. Summer arrival Victor Gyökeres scoring his first goals for the club, but victory at the Emirates was not without cost, though. But as for Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard were forced off with injury. It has been some huge positives for the reigning Premier League champions Liverpool so far this season, with the summer signings Hugo Ekitike hitting the ground running and teenage sensation sensation Rio making an instant impact. However, in some ways that has papered over the cracks, but a Slot side have looked far from defensively solid in early weeks of the season. Conversely, Arsenal yet to concede a goal. And look, every bit of main challenges to Liverpool's throne, victory at Anfield would be a huge statement at this early jogger. But early signs are that they are capable of just doing that. But I'm going for a 2-2 draw. But anyway, I love goals for fun. And the last match, Aston Villa takes on Crystal Palace. Injury statement believably summing up the contest of the match. Unai Emery will be frustrated with Aston Villa's start to this season. With the Villas having failed to score, they have conceded just a solitary point from their opening 2 games of the campaign, with the former Felicia's boss having found something new once again, with Villa veering into stagnation this season. Their opening day goalless draw against Newcastle at Villa Park could be viewed as a reasonable result, with Kirsty Conce sent off midway through in the second half. Last weekend, though, they suffered a lacklustre and surprise 1-0 defeat to similarly poor Brentford side at the G-Tech Community Stadium. As for Crystal Palace in midweek, Crystal Palace managed to enter themselves into the phase of the Europa Conference League with a goalless draw in Norway against Fredrikstad, winning by a 0-0 on the aggregate on overall. The Eagles have had a very busy summer off the pitch, but it's about to get very busy on it. They have already played 5 matches in all competitions, which include winning Community Shield on penalties against Liverpool at Wembley Stadium. And Palace have started steadily with back-to-back draws against Chelsea and Nottingham Forest, with outgoing departures taking the headlines too. Right, so Aston Villa are the favourites for this one, especially with their home advantage. They have been unconvincing throughout their opening couple of matches, but fluency was required. However, against a Crystal Palace side that may well already be feeling the potential physical fragile after midweek, European conclusions siding with Villa would appear the best for this one. I'm going for Aston Villa 2, Crystal Palace 1. That's my predictions then for Premier League Week 3. Leave on your comments below. Tomorrow I'm going to New York. I need to unpack my bags, through tonight before I head myself to New York with my family. But I'll see you in September throughout the international break. Bye. Have a great weekend, everyone.